Good to see you, Hillary. Again, this is a design guide. There's been a lot of input into this, but at the end of the day, it is only a guide of how we would like to see things developed in our district. It's a sort of a guide that can be handed out to developers when they come and they want to do a subdivision or something. They can take it home and sit and read it and think, well, does the hand fit the glove, so to speak? So, Hillary, do you want to speak to this?
Just very quickly, so you're exactly right, Merrick, and also that what this does is take our existing policies within the district plan and give a little bit of illustration and a visual representation about how that should look on the ground, and so it provides further guidance to our planners. So we hadn't anticipated that a hearing would be required because of the role of these design guidelines, but we had 5 parties who requested to be heard, and so what we're seeking is your direction on whether we should go ahead and hear those at all, or at a council meeting, or whether we should convene an ad hoc committee to hear those 5 submitters speak. And also, if that is the case, if we do want to hear those 5 submitters, whether we go back to the remainder of the submitters and see if they want to speak as well, given that we never indicated that we would have a hearing at the start of the process. If we did go with, if you did go with the third option, which is the ad hoc committee, we just might need to amend that resolution to nominate 3 councillors to go onto that committee at the same time, so it gets all tidied up today.
Doesn't actually have any factual teeth, though, does it? It really sort of cements a process and sort of tries to work people together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very much a guideline document. It's non-statutory, and it is fully reflecting what is already policy within our district plan.
If somebody owned 10 acres up the side of the hill there somewhere, they want to chop it into a residential subdivision, that gives them the guidelines of how we'd like to see it laid out, where the trees at the driveways and the visual landscape would be and things like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, so there's 2 times it would be triggered. It would be triggered if they required a resource consent, in which case the policies are already there, and this just helps to give further guidance. And the second case is whether a developer picks it up themselves and would like to voluntarily follow the guidelines to help their development look better.
Very well put by the CEO here a minute ago. We've got the words, just now paints the picture. Anybody like to ask any questions or comment about it? Raw guidelines? You can comment.
So those four submitters, have they just had that explanation that you've just given the Mayor?
It was within the document. It was that was written in the document, but I guess if we didn't go back to, if we didn't hear them, then we would go back to them and provide that further explanation. I guess there's 2 kind of groups within those submitters. One lot who would like the whole lot to be put in our district plan for it to become statutory, and the other lot who feel that it's becoming too restrictive on them and perhaps haven't been they need some more explanation about its role as a guidance document, and that they're already operating under existing policies anyway. So we'd have to be clear about that if we weren't to hear them and go back and explain that.
It's only 4 that actually wanted to be heard out of what, 14, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's 5 actually. The Waihaha Māori Trust, they said if we couldn't accommodate their needs, but we would need to hear them to get further explanation around that. And 14 total submitters.
Only 4 wanted to be heard out of 14. Okay. Any comments around the place?
Well, I think it gives those submitters the opportunity to perhaps be a little bit more satisfied if we do allow them, if we do set up a ad hoc committee, gives them the full opportunity to discuss the issue.
Invite all submitters to make an oral submission at the next council meeting. You'd rather just do it as an ad hoc committee?
Well, that'd be. I think that gives the submitters more opportunity to say what they want to say.
That's the last one. Or convenes an ad hoc committee. How many would you suggest for the committee? 3. So if we set up this committee to hear these 4 people, 4 submitters, can we have some volunteers? So what's that hand doing?
Well,
looks like the hula.
Oh, it's not on. As long as it's not on a Wednesday.
As long
Morning,
as it's not
anyway.
golf.
So we've got Councillor Williams, Councillor Kirk and Councillor Hickling. Anybody else want to join it? It doesn't have to be 3.
Oh, does it have to be certified RMA better decisions? It doesn't. It's just a
This is not a law, this is simply a guideline. We're not putting a law.
just information giving.
Just trying to set guidelines for developers that want to come in the district, charging over the hill, buying up all the land and think they're just going to do it their way.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we've got some guidelines that says that this is our preferred way.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, I
Okay, well, that's 4 of you. You can sort yourselves out as to the date with Hillary and who's going to chair it. So you 4 sort it out, and so if you could note that, and Hillary, would that suit you?
Except it'll be Kendall you're dealing with because I'm just about out of here. So
No.
well, why?
so
Who's going to be dealing with it? Tina?
Kendall
Okay, hi Kendall.
and probably Cara who wrote the original
Okay,
document.
that's fine. So you see the 4 volunteers and you'll have to corral them and set it up. So that means that the suggested resolution would be, the last one, convenes an ad hoc committee to hear submitters who ask to be heard.
Resolves to hear all submissions and convenes an ad hoc.
And then we have to make recommendations as to whether inclusion in the...
You will hear the resolution, then it's going to have to come back to council again
Yeah,
to be
it'd have
adopted.
to come back to council. Yeah. So would you also contact the previous ones that perhaps didn't say whether they'd like to be heard or not, or?
I think that would probably be good practice to do that.
Yeah.
If you're going to
Well, there's only 14.
anyway, you might as well make sure.
Because you might only get another 2 or something.
There's only 14.
Okay.
So did that get moved? Okay, moved Councillor Hickling, seconded Councillor Toomer. All in favour? Aye. Aye. Moving now to agenda item number 20. I'd just like to speak to this for a moment before you did, Ms Gilbert, just as the Mayor of the Taupo District. There's some contentious issues with this. There's a lot of people for it. There's a lot of people against it. But I just want to take the opportunity to remind everybody that we have a resolution on our books. I can't remember it verbatim, but the resolution was to support Waikato Regional Council going out to the public. In fact, it says it here, I'll read it again. The resolution we have on the book says that the Council supports Waikato Regional Council formally consulting with regional ratepayers on the levying of a regional rate for the home of cycling based on an equitable basis proportional to the economic benefit and the ease of access to the facility for people within the Taupo District. Now, I don't think, personally, we need to go any further than that because I do know on first-hand information they have approximately 7,000 submissions. Now, we've told them to go out and submit, so they now have to sit and read or listen, whichever it may be, to the submissions and make a decision because they're asking us, and I think unfairly, to help them make that decision. Well, you know, it's all very well passing the ball when a South African's on your back, but this is their baby, and it's their decision to make whether they rate them. And I think it's unfair to put us in a position where we either support or don't support. We supported them going out for submissions. They must now look, listen, and make a decision on those submissions, I feel. I also feel, and I want to make it known, that I went to Mr. Menhennet. I mentioned this to a couple of you before, and I will stand corrected at any time that somebody might like to, and I realise we're on webcam and et cetera, that the Waikato Centre of Excellence has an approximate build cost of 28 million. Now that is inclusive of GST because nowhere does it say plus GST, and if you talk dollars in New Zealand, and unless you say plus GST, it's deemed to be inclusive. 28 million inclusive, Mr. Menhennet worked these figures out for me here, is $3.65 million of GST will be returned to the central government. The government is putting in $7 million inclusive of GST. So when you give them the GST back from building it, 48% of the 7 million will be returned to central government. So their input is 3.35 million. And I'll leave my case there. I'm sure they'll also get all the PAYE and all the taxes from whatever company gets to build it. So is it a good deal? I don't know, but I don't think that our council should be put in a position where we have to make decisions for a Waikato Regional Council.
I would. Do we want to make a comment on whether or not we support a 2-tier funding proposal?
Sorry,
4B. Do we? If we're not prepared to make a stance on 4A, would we make a stance on the suggested resolution 4B?
My opinion on the matter is, and I'm happy to listen to everybody around the table, I believe we're being dragged into something where we shouldn't go. But on page 20(2) at the bottom, 2B, there's a resolution there that says, has no opinion on the proposed funding mechanism because we have not had the opportunity to consult with our communities. Environment Waikato has done the consulting, not us. And I think that's where we should draw our line in the sand. Because we have no opinion on the proposed funding mechanism because we have not had the opportunity to consult with our community. Mr. Williams has got something about here, we don't choose to submit, well, we can't submit anymore because the submissions are closed, and we did not submit. We simply put that resolution going back a couple of meetings.
And I guess we don't support, the point was we don't support a two-tier funding proposal.
Oh, no, I didn't say that at all.
No, but that's what I was asking, whether we wanted to put that in as a resolution.
Well, I don't think we should support or otherwise, that's what I'm sort of saying. Oh, yeah. I must admit I'm taking the moral high ground, for the want of a better word. It's $1 each way, but it makes sense to me that we've got no opinion on the proposed funding mechanism because you have not had the opportunity to consult with our community. Councillor Mincher.
Yeah, on that, Rick, exactly, we can only back up our personal opinions on that. The cost to go to public submission and do their work for them was obviously a mass cost we're not interested in doing. The community might like to know our general feeling, but that would be as far as it goes, isn't it?
Councillor Downer?
Yeah, I agree. It's in the regional council's hands now. I mean, as a community or a district in our own right, we decided that we could not afford it, so then we supported on it going out submissions to the regional council, so it should be left into their hands now to listen to those submissions, because as you said, we haven't gone out to submissions to our own people.
Any further discussion? Councillor Mitchell?
One more thing. Obviously, that it's making sure that the community understands that it's if the Waikato region decides to rate us, that is their decision. We have no absolute say or in that decision. We're powerless in that way. We can make a submission for or against. They still have to make the decision.
Well, just repeating myself, but submissions are closed. They're finished. They have 7,000. They called for submissions. We supported them to go out to get submissions. They now need to make that decision. And to keep coming back and trying to drag us into the potapuri is not fair and it's not right. We do not make any decisions about what Waikato Regional Council rates people for. We've never had that opportunity before, so why would we want to take the opportunity up now? Now, they have 7,000 submissions, and I just suggest if they're watching, or they that they listen to the submissions and make their decision as they are elected to do. Councillor Henderson.
Yeah, I agree. The opportunity to consult with what Rick was saying, and our ratepayers haven't had that opportunity. And I've read the economic analysis, and I note that the staff report draws attention to the gaps in the impact assessment and the benefits assessment, and I'd agree with that, having read it. I tend to think, much as it's a good project, I wonder if they've chosen the wrong tool for the job in terms of getting it funded with this targeted rate. Because I think you've got to think really carefully about targeted rates. And from my point of view, I guess in one sense, and I represent the district too, but representing people in Turangi, I find it difficult to make the case of putting money towards this on a targeted rate basis for the benefit that they would derive for it. And I thought about this the other day and thought, in another way, I could make a better case for a targeted rate for a skateboard park in Turangi and feel better about it, because that would have more direct benefit. But I wouldn't. Yeah, but I wouldn't. But I think it's the same principle. Wrong tool for the wrong project, even in that case as well. And I think with this one, that's what my